It's time for Sustainable Living with Glenn Boblitz, the show that helps you be prepared to care for your family regardless of the circumstances that may come your way. Now, here's your host for today, Mark Lamb.
Well, we're in the studio with Glenn Boblitz. As Janet said, it's another Sustainable Living. And what are we trying to sustain today, Glenn?
Just picking up on some lost skills that need to be reborn.
Okay.
Whether you have to buy a book to learn them, find a mentor to learn them,
right,
or trial by fire. You know, gardening is a trial by fire.
Yeah.
You know, you can read all the books you want, but that's where I'm at. We've got a lot of stuff that's happening around us that could cause some serious disruptions, and you know, I'm not fear mongering by no means, but my gosh, the list is pretty long.
It is long.
You don't have to even turn on the news to figure out that, hey, you know, there's volcanoes everywhere, earthquakes like we've never seen before. I mean, something's going on.
Well, you know, and I have a question for you. Am I crazy for
Yes, we're all crazy.
Okay.
Just clarify.
I literally went to bed listening to a podcast of a guy who was talking about some of the supersonic, you know, missiles that are available to other countries that could have an EMP in them, and how that could, you know, disrupt and how certain segments of society. And we've talked about this. It's, you know, I went to bed listening to that last night, and I actually fell asleep about halfway through. I don't know if we made it or not.
Yeah, I mean, how do you fall asleep during the beginning of a nuclear war? Right. I don't know, but I did.
But I mean, it's good to have the information, you know, and it's like a policeman who holsters that pistol and hopes he never has to use it.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
just if you let yourself go down that path of following every bad news, you will be in a bad mood the rest of your life.
Right.
There's certain things that you can do something about, and there's certain things that you can't. You know, give them to God.
Yeah.
If you can't do nothing about them, give them to God.
Yeah.
But don't be so stupid that you don't prepare in case one of them does happen, because 9 times out of 10, anything that you're preparing for is good for you anyway.
Right.
I mean, if you think our food supply is going to be cut off tomorrow, and you're growing all kinds of food, okay, well, what if it doesn't? You got good food.
Yeah. Yeah.
So about everything I've tried to do is always had at least 2 purposes. So, you know, if I buy extra toilet paper, I'm pretty sure I'm going to use it up.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. And I've hedged my prices against next month's prices. That's all you're doing.
Yeah. And there's something to be said. I know my in-laws go to a small church out in Gladys, and people bring in all kinds of tomatoes and cucumbers and, you know, zucchini. It's out of their abundance they're giving to other people. Well, come on. I mean, you know, you can probably use some tomatoes, can't you? And
sure.
And there's something about being able to give somebody out of your abundance, too.
Absolutely. When I first moved into the little neighborhood that I'm in, you know, I started gardening right away, and I didn't know any of these people, and just had way too much. And so I just got on my little Polaris and drove down the gravel road and stopped at the first house. Hi, I'm your neighbor. Would you like a watermelon?
Yeah.
You know, and they were like, who are you? But I had a watermelon.
Yeah.
And go, the guy can't be all bad.
Right.
And that's how I got to meet all my neighbors,
Sure.
you know, and they know who I am now. And hey, do you know anybody can fix this? Well, of course I can.
Yeah.
And so I'm the Mr. Fix-It of the neighborhood. And so they come see me. But Christmas time, you wouldn't believe the cakes and cookies I get.
Oh, I can imagine.
Which is not good for the waistline,
Right.
but I take them anyway. There's one lady, you know, God bless her. She makes me these peanut butter chocolate dipped Ritz crackers.
Oh,
I
my
mean,
gosh.
they are to die for.
Can you just
know?
save me one for this year?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Never have. I don't know why. They never last more than about 3 days.
Yeah.
It seems like a cup of coffee and a couple of them things.
Sure.
But at any rate, you know, that's something that they can do and get back. And now a couple of them are actually gardening, I've noticed.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they just like those fresh tomatoes, and they may only have 4, okay, but they know how to grow 4.
Yeah.
If you can grow tomatoes, you can grow something else.
Yeah,
That's
sure.
all I'm saying. And they've probably pulled some skills that they got as a kid to do that, and,
Sure.
and just brought them back. And that's what we're talking about. And, fixing a car, holy crap. You can't fix a modern car. You don't know what's wrong with it because you can't pull nothing out to test it.
Yeah.
Everything is so computerized, electronic-wise, and if you get to monkeying around with it, you may killed your car
Right.
or cost yourself $5,000 computer system went in. It's just not a good thing. But most people wouldn't know how to change a tire.
Right.
That's pitiful.
Yeah.
So, doing your maintenance on your cars, being able to fix a car if something just simple goes wrong.
Right.
If you don't know, my gosh, get a book. And I'm going to say this a lot. Everything telling you, there's a book out there for, car repair for dummies, gardening for dummies. There's a dummy book for everybody. And I've bought these books. So don't think I'm throwing rocks at you
Right.
when I've done the same thing. So the thing I like about those kind of books is they don't make assumptions.
Right.
They don't make assumption that you tore apart a small motor. They start from scratch.
Right.
A lot of safety stuff too, which is probably something I should have had to start with, but
Sure.
keeps you from getting too far into it, messing something up, getting hurt, whatever.
Right.
I do a little electrical work, so
I've seen.
I'm saying there's a safety issue with that.
Right.
So if you're going to get a book on how to repair electrical stuff at your house
Right.
for dummies, you probably ought to read the first 2 chapters really close because it's all about safety.
Right.
And how to do those things safely. Electricity's not too scary as long as it's not present.
Right.
That's why they tell you, turn off the breaker. Well,
Yes.
which breaker is it? Well, if your electrician didn't label your panel, you're going to have to go through and find it yourself.
And it's a two-person job.
Yeah. Or
Unless you want to run up and down the steps
up and down the steps half a dozen times with a lamp plugged into that socket, however you got to do it. But at any rate,
What's one of those little devices like you had when you worked at my house recently?
it's called a proximity tester.
Okay.
And it detects the electricity, and
Yeah.
it's a non-contact surface. It's got
Right.
a little tip. You just stick
Yeah.
it right in the socket, and if there's electricity there, it'll tell you.
Okay.
Now, there's 2 sides to that socket, so always test both sides because one
Okay.
is a neutral, and it may not pick that up.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
you do both sides to make sure.
Okay.
That's a good item to have.
Yeah.
Proximity testers.
Got it.
Not only the family car, but I'd bet there's at least 3 or 4 other motors at your house. Your lawnmower,
Right.
maybe a generator, pressure washer, something. That's a mechanical system too that runs off of gasoline, and you have to know how that thing works.
Sure.
So if you have these things, you ought to know how to do at least the simple repairs. It gets to spittering and sputtering. You go, okay, first thing you do is check gas, the simple stuff 1st. Do I have gas in it? That's
Boy,
a start. Is the gas contaminated? Is it old gas? What's it smell like? It'll smell like old varnish. Smells terrible.
Yeah.
An acidic smell. And you go, okay, I see the issue. It's old gas. You dump it out. Chainsaws are notorious for this.
Because gas can change its composition over time.
If it goes to a bunch of hot and cold cycles, like in your garage,
Right.
that gas will deteriorate. Gas is hard to store unless you have put in some stabilizer in there, and that only lasts for a while.
Right.
So I'm just saying these things are just knowledge that you probably have never been told about or have forgotten about, one or the other.
Sure.
But you need to know these things. Generators, we're getting a lot of storms, a lot of crazy storms. I mean, all over the United States, but here in Virginia, I mean, we probably had one of the wettest summers I ever seen. Here it is in August and we have cool weather. Okay, something's screwed up,
Yeah. Yeah.
which creates a lot of storms. So you might have a power outage. Nothing worse than going, I've got a nice, great big generator, but it won't start.
Right. Yeah,
It seems like every time we have a major storm, at least 4 or 5 generators end up at my shop.
Oh, wow.
And going, could you get this running? Well, as soon as it quits hailing and storming and
Right.
lightning, I might
Sure.
be able to. But why can't you fix your own stuff? Because you don't have the knowledge and tools. Okay, well, maybe you ought to get some of that.
Yeah.
It just proved that emergencies when you should have that stuff.
Right.
And a little preventive maintenance that goes a long way here, folks. So, with all the crap that's happening around the world, probably be a good idea to bone up on some serious education, even if you don't have time to do it right now. If you got the book in your hand,
Right.
at least you got a chance.
Yeah.
If you don't have that knowledge, and everybody's going to be in the same spot that you are, there's no one coming to save you on that. People just tend to think that they can drop a generator off and I can magic that thing in 5 minutes, when it may take me 3.5, 4 hours, tear it all down and clean it all out. So, but there's an emergency going on.
Right.
My food in my freezer is thawing out.
Right.
You have to get my generator running.
Absolutely.
No, I don't. I got to get my generator running first.
Right, exactly.
Right. Then I have to get my wife's generator running.
Oh, gosh.
So we don't lose stuff in her freezer. Okay,
Sure.
well, if you have a book, I'm here to tell you these books are good enough now that it can save you.
Yeah.
And you can say, okay, I need to be able to check the simple stuff. And there'll be checklists to go right down. And that's with almost any kind of mechanical stuff. They've dumbed them down enough for Joe homeowner and guys like me to go, okay, I see how they're doing this, and that jumps you ahead. And pictures help a lot. So if you get a book, it's all words. You might want to go try another book.
Okay.
Generators for Dummies. I don't even know if there is such a book, but I'd almost bet there is.
Yeah, well.
Generators with Dummies. They have a lot of pictures, which is super helpful. Car repair manuals, the old Chilton manuals used to be
Yeah, I
real
remember
good.
those.
They're not so good anymore. They've made them more for the mechanically inclined.
Okay.
Still good information, and if you are mechanically inclined, they're great books. Just those kind of things that we have lost the ability to do because we just take our car to the mechanic, who gets $200 an hour. Well, the shop gets $200 an hour. Holy cow!
Yeah.
That's well worth investing in a book. At $200 an hour, you can buy a lot of books.
Oh, sure.
So, and it may be something simple as a fuse, for goodness sake. Anyway, get yourself to the point where you can at least do the simple stuff. And buy a second book that's a little more advanced. So if somebody in your circle is mechanically inclined, but he needs those specifications, I need to know what voltage is supposed to go to the spark plug. And he goes, do you have a book on your car? And I've always bought the repair manual for every car I've ever owned.
Okay.
Because there's just so much to it that and there's no way to learn all that. You'd have to go to their school up in Detroit to be able to learn all that.
Sure.
Well, here it is in a book.
Right.
At least just about everything about that car is in that book. You may not understand it all, but it's there. There's a picture. You can change your alternator, whatever it is.
There are some books out there, by the way, the basics of using a generator. The one for dummies isn't necessarily there, but these other ones, 101, things to know about generators and that kind of thing.
See there?
Yeah.
I mean, and how critical is your generator? It's darn critical because you bought a generator.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you better be able to make sure it starts every time.
And make sure that exhaust is pointing away from your house. We just heard a story this year of a couple, just dying.
Carbon monoxide.
Carbon
it'll do it.
monoxide. Yeah. It just
Having a carbon monoxide detector in your
yes.
garage.
'Cause that's battery powered.
Right, that's battery powered. Yeah, they drive you crazy
Yeah.
because it's detecting carbon monoxide.
Right. It's trying to save your life.
Yeah.
Not be an annoyance.
Quit beating on it. It'll quiet down as soon as the carbon monoxide is gone.
Yeah.
We talked about growing gardens, and we always have all the things that you should be doing, blah, blah, blah. Well, you can get away with tinkering in a garden and all that, but what if you really had to do it for real? This is where your food comes from.
Right.
Some major disruption or eruption nowadays.
Oh, I know.
And it's not like Yosemite or Yellowstone is going to blow up and blow our entire country in half, but you will get the fallout from it.
Yeah.
The dust will come down and probably put a half-inch coating of ash over the pretty much the center part of this country, because that's just the way it floats.
Yeah.
That'll mess up your gardens. That'll mess up the plants. That'll mess up the climate big time.
Mm-hmm.
So all those things are possible. Are we going to worry them to death and not go to sleep because of them? No, but what if it does?
Yeah.
What if what if it's just a temporary disruption? There's a whole lot of things that you should probably think about having, and again with dual purpose, and that's those dust masks. The M99. You don't want to be breathing volcanic dust. It's terrible stuff. It's actually micronized glass, and so that's kind of fear mongering. I realize that, but they're blowing up now.
Yeah.
And all that ash is going up into the atmosphere, and what goes up comes down.
I think, Glenn, we're desensitized of seeing the tragedy happening somewhere else, and not here.
Well,
and I mean, we have our natural disasters. I get that, but this, like you said, Yellowstone. I mean, I just
you just pick the thread. I don't care what it is, and try to have some type of preparation for it.
Right.
Okay. If nothing else, just go, okay, what does that mean if that does happen? And you give it a priority, 1 through 10. If it's in the ones and the twos, you go, okay, I'm not going to buy, a chemical suit because it's going to blow up, but I will buy a couple of M99 masks.
Yeah.
If I don't use them there, I can use them while I'm weed eating.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
This is what I'm talking about. You get a 2-for-1 use out of it. Yep. Go ahead and do it.
Yep.
I don't mean buy 10,000 of them. I just mean, get a couple of them. Back to growing garden in a lost skill. We just don't grow that much anymore. It's too convenient to go to the local market and buy that stuff. Well, I'm here to tell you that our food system is becoming dangerous with the microplastics, the chemicals, hate to say it, but the MNRA stuff, and that's for the meats. And
they're putting it in there. Right?
Yeah, and that's long term, through the life of the cow. When they give them these new shots,
right?
That's in there to the life of the cow, and you eat it. What do you think happens? Okay, I'm not doing it.
Yeah,
I've quit buying the meat. Unless I know where that meat comes from, I'm not buying it. I'm gonna be raising my own, or helping someone who is raising, who is of like mind. That's how bad it's gotten, where I have drawn a line in the sand and said, I will not do it because I know this stuff is bad.
Yeah.
Same way with my vegetables. I mean, we spend a lot of time canning our own fruits, canning our own vegetables, not because I'm some paranoid guy. I'm saying the quality is not there.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. It's the quality issue that it has become a problem. I mean, the only reason I eat food is for the taste and the nutrition.
Right.
And what we're getting is neither.
Right.
So why buy it? So even if you can't grow it yourself, Find somebody who is growing it, that has abundance, that you can share in that process. Now, it's got to be a win-win deal,
Right.
and it's not always money.
Right.
Not everybody, is going to have money to spend that kind of cash for 2 cases of tomatoes, homegrown tomatoes. But the farmer may need a fence mended.
Right.
And if you've got that skill, he'd be glad to trade you for it.
Sure. Yeah.
Because he don't have time. Okay, well, there's a win-win deal that you just created.
Yeah.
We need to start doing this much, much more. It's worth more than the money.
Right.
Because it not only is he your resource for your 2 cases of tomatoes, he has lots of other skills, like maybe fixing generators.
Right.
Right. You see the connection here?
Yeah.
I think that's why we have so much problem within our little lives right now, is because we're not connected.
Well, and
It's hard to do it all.
To go back to your analogy or your actual example of putting a watermelon on your Polaris and going to meet your neighbors.
Right.
I mean, we got to know our neighbors.
Yep.
I mean, good, bad, or indifferent. They may tilt their head and look at you like you're crazy, but
And the guy I gave the watermelon to, top-notch mechanic.
Oh, really? Wow. Good for you.
Top-notch mechanic.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, see that, and I didn't know that up front.
Right.
I was paying it forward and didn't know it.
Sure.
So there you are.
Yeah.
So if you can grow this garden or make a connection to someone that does, what do you do with 2 cases of tomatoes? Wow. They won't store that long, especially if they're homegrown and getting ready to be overly ripe.
Okay.
They need to be canned or dried
Okay.
or freeze-dried or fermented.
Right.
There's a lot of ways to preserve food. How many do you know? Start with one. Preserving Food for Dummies. Back to that book.
Right.
The simplicity of the book. And these books are dirt cheap, especially the used books.
Yeah.
Or what's it, Amazon?
Amazon
started selling the used books.
Yeah.
It's the same copy you could pay $35 for new, and the guy's selling it for $3.
Yep.
Because it has to do with work.
Right.
It
just might be a little tattered, so what?
Yeah.
Content's still good.
More than likely, it has pages already marked. This works, this didn't work for me,
True.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So learning those skills and everything around gardening, including soils. I've talked to them blue in the face about soils. Whole nother book. Get it. Learn this stuff, or at least have that knowledge, because it's not stored in your phone, is not the place to store knowledge,
True.
because it'll all go away. If your battery dies, it's all gone.
Right.
And Lord help these
boy.
millennials if the battery dies, or the communications go down.
Yeah.
Volcanoes will disrupt
Oh, sure.
communication just
Yeah.
because it can't bounce off signals. It gets caught in the clutter.
Yep.
So there you are. I think we can, when supplies got low, like it during times of war, food was fairly inexpensive, but we still can because not everybody had that abundance of cash at the time. Food was fairly cheap 10 years ago, and it was convenient. Huge varieties, the whole supermarket thing, bringing the world in. But our entire food system has changed. Everything is just-in-time ordering.
Yeah.
They have to pick it early, pick it green, that kind of stuff, so they can store it, so they can distribute all year long. This global food network, so it all can hit when somebody clicks a button. But that's not good, because it's not local. Any kind of disruption in that part of the world or that part of the country, and the food supply stops for whatever reason. Right now, Europe is in deep trouble with grains of any kind, because it all come from Ukraine.
Yeah, a
I
lot
mean,
of
like
people didn't know that.
77% of their.
I didn't know they were producing so much until this war.
Oh, absolutely. If you're not in the agricultural network and not tied to that, how would you know?
Right.
You just know that you go to the local big box store and
it's there.
buy flour or buy your bread. Haven't you noticed how much bread has gone up?
Right.
Right. Holy cow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's doubled in price. Well, what do you think caused that? Just that interruption in our food chain.
Yep.
So, because everything's kind of tied together in a big agriculture, fertilizers not only drive up prices, that they also reduce the amount that's grown. Because if your fertilizer doubled in price, you're not going to put down as much fertilizer as you did last year, which is going to reduce your crop. Because this is big agriculture, folks. It's just run on 10-10-10 fertilizer pretty much.
Right.
If it costs them that much, they can't afford to just continue putting that amount on their fields.
Right.
Ergo, it's going to lower the amount of crops that they can get off that field. So they have to charge more.
Yeah.
Well, when there's supply and demand issues, guess what happens? It comes out of your pocket.
It does.
That's where it goes to. The price lands at your feet, and you pay the cost. So that's what's happening around the world right now, and it's made us vulnerable.
It
Made the whole world vulnerable.
Sure.
And we're not paying too much attention to that.
And I can't help but think that Mr. KGB himself knows all that, Mr. Putin.
Oh, absolutely.
And I just learned something about him.
A resource is a resource. It doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
And if you can have control over the resources, you have control over huge amounts of money. And that's kind of what it always comes to, isn't it?
With the assets, because of his position in government, that he may be one of the richest men in the world. I never thought of Putin that way.
Oh, yeah. His family is mega rich, too.
Yeah. And I mean, his bunker, he doesn't live but, I don't know, 10 miles out or something. I mean, from him to get back into the city, it's an ordeal. But he has got a bunker and a half.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
If you were Putin, wouldn't you want a bunker?
I guess so.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people don't like the man.
Yeah.
And if he's got the cash, just build you a bunker.
Yeah.
Butchering, we talked about the meats. The butcher shop went away 50 years ago.
Right.
As soon as big box stores came in, they realized that they needed a faster supply of meat, because meat was pretty much a luxury. Back in the 50s and 60s, it was expensive. But this made it a little cheaper. Not much, but a little cheaper. And since then, it has gone up by mega. But the local butcher went away overnight. They just couldn't compete. No one was buying from them because they were being, undercut by the big box stores.
Sure.
So they just gave it up. The few family farms or individuals that continued to butcher just did it for their family, their inner circle.
Right.
And there's still a few around that can do it, but they're not going to be selling any meats. In fact, it's
They're just
illegal.
butchering what you bring in to them, right?
For their immediate family, And it's a big deal if you get caught selling meats to your neighbor, to your family member.
Wow.
The fines are huge,
Right?
And they can come and confiscate everything in your
They will bolt
on
it
your
up
farm.
in a heartbeat.
As Triple Oaks Farms,
Yeah.
they didn't treat that man very well.
No.
Though he was trying to do it right, they just found a little niche and goes, nope, we're going to put you out of business. Now somebody
turned somebody.
put somebody onto him. Now, I don't know who it is, and I can't get into all that, but
Right.
But the point is, do you know how to butcher anything? You deer hunters out there, why are you taking your deer to the butcher shop? You should be able to do that yourself. That is a simple process.
Right.
It's you don't have to be perfect at it.
Right.
But what you do have to have is some basic knowledge, because it's A, food, B, meat, and
Right.
there's a possibility of contamination, infections, you name it. It's meat. So you have to treat any kind of food with a little respect,
Sure.
to keep it clean and keep it safe. It's no different than anything else.
Yeah.
But having a book on it would be handy now, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And most of the butchering books that I've seen, even the simple ones, come with pictures and diagrams.
Okay.
You may not have all the facilities to do that, but especially for deer, the carcass is not so big that you can't handle it. You can pretty much do anything with a hacksaw and a good butcher knife. So you could get that meat done.
Right.
Now, a cow may be a little big, a little much to tackle, but, check your inner circle. Anybody ever butcher a cow out there? Butcher a pig, butcher a sheep, butcher a deer. If you don't know, reach out to your circle so you can at least learn it, so
Sure.
you can at least see it done.
Right.
So it's not so difficult. And
Right.
get the little nuances later if that's what it takes. Get the safety first, learn the skill, and the nuances last,
Right.
If you want to make salamis or learn how to preserve the meats, especially pigs, there's a lot of ways to preserve that pig. Whether it's sausage or salamis or hams, country ham, that kind of stuff. If you want to go that far, okay. If we have some disruption and you're in charge of feeding your family, meat's going to be pretty important.
Yeah.
Now, whether it's the guy down the road that you got to help butcher pigs, or you do it yourself, all those skills need to be gathered back up.
Yeah.
Even if you have to spend a little time and effort with someone else to learn them. But at least get the book, so you at least get the basics. And I'm hammering on this.
Glenn, let's take a break right here and let's talk about what we need to have, kind of in place for a catastrophe of some sort, whether it's man-made or whether it's just something that Mother Nature decides to throw at us. We're with Glenn Ballblitz. This is Sustainable Living Made Easy.
Get ready for a new soundtrack for your life. Doc Rock, Smith Mountain Lake. It's music that'll take away your troubles for a while.
That's what I'm talking about!
Wake up with Janet and Mark on the Morning Jam. They'll keep you informed and encouraged, and we all need more of that.
You say jam?
You're invited to be a part of the Doc Rock family, your feel-good station. Doc Rock, Smith Mountain Lake.
We're back with more Sustainable Living with Glenn Ballblitz. Be sure to look for Sustainable Living on Facebook for even more information and follow-up conversations with other members. Now, here's your host, Mark Lamb.
Glenn, before we went into the break, I was talking about a catastrophe, and that's really why we want to have a plan in place in case something does go wrong. I mean, the hurricane season has already started. You see hurricanes coming up both sides of Florida, and I have a lot of family that lives in Florida. Of course, Florida has a lot of good plans in place. And, if you think you're a lone ranger out there, well, I've got a plan. Let's talk about that a little bit, how we need each other.
No one can do this alone. During
Right.
a catastrophe, if there was one thing that I've learned, and that is you can't do it alone.
Right.
There's always a hole in your plan, a missing component,
Right.
a missing knowledge. I don't know how to fix that control panel that controls our water supply. Well, farmer goes, I've got one of those control panels sitting in my barn. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for
Right.
people that can help them, give them answers. Now, they're not coming to say, tell me all your skills and everything you got on your farm. That's not what they want to do.
Right.
They want to go, this is our shortcomings. Can you help with it?
Yeah.
This is what's going to happen if A happens. It's going to cause B to be a shortage. Can you help with that?
Yeah.
Do you know how we can fix this? You know, it's always good to know who your neighbor is, whether he's a jerk or a resource.
Yeah.
But we
Great way
just
to
tend
put it.
not to venture out. We tend to just kind of hole up. Well, over the past 7 years doing this kind of stuff, I've met some really good people, and we've had some apple days and canning days, and people just are astounded what a good time they had working.
Together.
Usually those two words don't go together too
Right.
well, good time and working.
Sure.
But it's because that's what's missing. It's that community that's missing.
Yeah.
And a good friend of ours, he'll pull out a guitar and play a guitar while
nice.
And you go, wow, this is just like it was back in the
Back
60s
in the day,
when I
yeah.
was growing up, you know.
Yeah.
Somebody come over and we'd work our butt off and
Yeah.
play a little music afterward, eat real good.
Yeah.
How good of a day is that?
Yeah.
You know, I'm all in for the eat real good.
Sure.
Me
too.
Yeah, me too.
Me too.
We canned peaches, and I was the taste tester for
Oh, man,
all
that's
the
a tough
peaches.
job.
Yeah, tough job. I'd fight for that job right there. All right, so
mercy.
we're back to these lost skills.
Yeah.
Just your home repairs. There's a lot of things going on in your home that you probably have to call somebody to fix. Electrical's one of them because most people are scared of the electricity.
Sure.
I think we've lost that skill just because we've not been exposed to it enough. It's too easy to pick up the phone, repair guy shows up.
Right.
Well, nowadays you pick up the phone and no one answers.
Yeah, I know.
That's a problem.
I know.
I get that a lot. People say they won't even return my calls. It's because they're so busy
Yeah.
or so lazy, one or the other.
Yeah, it's one or the other. You're right.
Because there's not a lot of people going into construction because it's hard work.
Right. We'd had that conversation last week.
Right. So the lack of these people that's available to come to your home to fix stuff is a problem.
Yeah.
So maybe you need to start learning how to do it yourself. One of the trades is going to be HVAC. That's going to be hard for you to learn and do yourself. Because it's a regulated trade, just as electrical is, but
Yeah.
at least you can buy out about everything you need at a store. You can't go in and purchase half the stuff that you need for HVAC
Yeah.
because it's regulated.
Yeah, the
You
Freon
know,
and
all the
everything.
Freons
Yep.
and all that kind of stuff. And you probably wouldn't know what to ask for to start with.
Right.
So not having that skill is understandable. It's just it's a very technical skill
Sure.
for one thing.
Yeah.
A lot of specialized tools that you just are not going to be dual purpose.
Right.
So probably ought to make
True.
friends with your local
Right.
HVAC guy. You know, I've got a couple guys that are very good at HVAC and they like to eat and like peaches. So I'm in good shape. All right, carpentry. Just being able to build anything. If I ask somebody, could you frame up a shed with some 2x4s, 2x8s, and know how to square it all up and build a shed that would actually stand for a while? Most people would say no.
Yeah.
Probably don't have the tools there either, but if you're living in an apartment, who cares about building a shed, you know, because they got a storage in the bottom of the basement. So I understand that, but going out and helping someone do that at least exposes you to that environment.
Right.
You know, that skill that they have. And I say this a lot, you know, if you can't do it, get with somebody who can.
Right.
Even you're paying for an education. When you go help someone, you're actually
Sure.
paying for an education with something other than dollars. It's your sweat equity.
Yeah.
But you just learned something. You go, wow, I see how that layout of those studs on that wall went. I get that now.
Yeah.
How to square up a building. How do you know your building's square? And if you can square up a building, you square up a larger piece of land. You can square up about anything if you know the math.
Right.
Well, Who knows that? Who knows Pythagorean's theorem of right angle? It sounds real technical, but it's really not. But until you're shown how that works and how easy that is, you can just expand that to any size building. I don't care if it's 100 feet by 200 feet.
Right.
Principle's still the same.
Sure.
All right. Trades, what else we got? Having others repair your stuff, things fall off your house.
True. I got some shutters that are hanging right now.
Shutters, gutters, doors. If you're not even familiar with that stuff, how are you going to do it? Because the guy that you call on the phone is not going to answer the phone. Then what? You know, having a door replaced is a big deal.
Sure.
It's not impossible by no means, but you got to have somebody that's got a little skills and the tools to do it.
Yep.
It'd be hard for Joe homeowner to replace his front door.
Right.
If it's not just plug and play, most people would know how to do it. And I'm not bashing anybody that does. And if you do know, you should have showed somebody by now.
Right.
So you're dependent on these guys. I don't like to be dependent for the simple things.
Right.
If I can get that book, a carpentry book or a home remodel book, all that kind of stuff, plumbers, plumbers used to be on the lower end of the scale of trades. They may still be, but they're one of the highest paid.
Yeah.
Because not many people going into plumbing.
Nope.
Because that is a dirty, wet, sometimes stinky job. If you ever had a toilet get clogged and had to call the plumber, he's smiling when he walks up because he's got a bill waiting on you.
He sure does.
Yeah, so I'm just saying,
does.
And God bless the plumber.
Yeah.
So there you are.
Good trade to get into if you're a young man or woman.
Yeah, and you may have to do some of the dirty work to get that kind of pay.
Sure.
Not everything is gravy. Not everything is replacing the kitchen faucet here, folks.
No.
If you've ever pulled a sink trap off and smelled that beautiful aroma that's lurking down in the bottom of that thing, and you spilled it on your pants and wear it all day.
Well, and just the hair that accumulates.
Oh,
and
I didn't want
else.
to go there, but there you went.
It's something else.
How's that, folks? Try to get that visual out of your head. All right. Social skills, communication. If you lost your phone,
right,
and you turn to your buddy and you'd say, "Let me use your phone."
Oh my gosh, you wouldn't know who to call because everything's in the memory.
It's under LB. If I want to call the LB, what's the number?
Yep.
That's kind of scary.
Yep.
Okay. Well, what if you had to go over to LB's house to be able to talk to him?
Yeah.
And he lives in a county away.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how to get there? No.
Because
there's too many back roads. You go, you just go down this road, that. Unless you've been there 100 times in the past year,
right?
You're not going to remember how to get there because it's too many turns.
It's scary how much we rely on our technology, brother. It is scary.
It just irks me that I go, I should know that.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, well, I have a backup plan. Behind my seat has always been a map. Imagine that.
Yeah.
And the Rand McNally road map.
Oh, yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah, I remember those. They're in the antique store.
Yep.
Well, you're going to need that, folks. I suggest you buy one. And then you buy a couple local maps that are a little bigger, a little more detailed. But
sure,
if you got to go from here to there and it's more than 100 miles, you ain't getting there without it. You just not. Mm-hmm. You're going to spend a lot of gas money because you're going to be wandering around asking questions. Mm-hmm. And you can't ask nobody. That was the other thing. Do you know where such and such a road is? And they go, no.
Right.
Because I don't have my phone with me.
Right.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
So you can't even ask for help.
Well, I tell you what, why don't we, I want to address that because we don't want to go too long here, but we need to address the whole technology thing on a separate show.
Oh, yeah.
How
Vulnerable it's made us.
Yeah, how vulnerable it's made us, and if that goes down, how hard that's going to be. And it could be a simple natural disaster. You look at the folks in North Carolina, there, Black Mountain and that whole mess that happened. I mean, to tell you, it's something we need to address. We need to have that backup plan too. We need to have those maps and those kinds of things. So maybe that's a whole show.
People talk about bug out bags in your car or a get home safely bag in your car.
Mm-hmm.
Those are becoming more important all the time.
Right.
Regardless of what the situation is. I mean, crap happens. That's a fact.
It does.
So having that backup that's not technology dependent is pretty important. And I think you're right. I think we just need to do a whole thing just to show, A, how vulnerable you are.
Well, that's it.
And the fix for it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much the whole end of this show. We've covered a lot of stuff, and it's just the beginning. We could spend a week on this, but I just want to fire you up enough where you start gathering up these books.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to flea markets, or you can go to a little antique store where they always got a book, and go through and find those how-to books, man.
Right.
And just start storing knowledge somewhere other than your phone.
Right.
Or your computer, because that has a subject to have a weak point in which you won't be able to use it or access it.
Right.
So having it in your hands is the only way to circumvent that.
Yeah.
And that's about all I got for today.
All right, Glenn. Well, thank you as always, and we'll look forward to that other broadcast when we cover this stuff.
Thank you.
Join us again next week for Sustainable Living with Glenn Boblitz, helping you be prepared and not scared. This podcast drops every Friday anywhere you get your podcast.